all of a sudden you can't hear the room nearly as much. It tightens up the room. You can't hear the hard surface reflection as much as you can if you were to switch over to the Aston Origin, which is a lot like the TLM 103. All of a sudden All right, now on to condenser, shotgun, and dynamic microphones. Let's start with condenser. But first, what is a condenser microphone? Well, if you want the super nerdy definition, you can just Google it, but long, super nerdy story short, condenser microphones are one of the most widely used microphones in the voice acting industry, right beside the shotgun microphone. Condenser microphones are incredibly sensitive, meaning they will pick up literally everything. You're gonna hear the spider crawling in the walls plotting your death. So in other words, they pick up really, really loud noises, really, really quiet noises, everything in between really accurately. Little side note, microphones like the Neumann U87 and the TLM 103, they're really, really popular microphones in the voice acting industry, and they are large diaphragm condenser microphones. They were not designed for super small spaces, so if you are in a 4x4 booth or something like that, like a whisper room or something, stop using them in that booth. They will never sound good. They won't. They just won't. Okay, shotgun microphones. All right, so out of frame, you can't see it, it's right up there, is a Sennheiser 416 shotgun microphone. It's what I use to record most of my voiceover and some of these videos that you're watching right now. The awesome thing about shotgun microphones is their really incredibly tight pickup pattern, or polar pattern. I know you're probably thinking, what the heck is a polar pattern? We'll get to that in a moment, bear with me. First, I do want to clear up a little bit of misinformation, or I should say misunderstood information that has been going around the YouTubes. A lot of people are saying that shotgun microphones in smaller reverberant spaces will cause phase cancellation, and therefore they are not good for professional voiceover work. This statement could not be further from the truth. Now, let me clarify, the beginning of that statement is true. In a smaller, more reverberant space, a shotgun microphone will cause phase cancellation. But we're voice actors. The first thing that we're doing, if we're professional voice actors, is treating the space acoustically that we are going to be recording in, which completely alleviates the whole phase cancellation thing, which means, no, they're actually great for voice actors. And as a matter of fact, 90% of the voice actors that I know, and I know a lot, use the Sennheiser 416 or another shotgun microphone. Okay, so now on to polar patterns. Okay, so what the heck is a polar pattern or a pickup pattern? A microphone's directionality or polar response polar pattern indicates how sensitive it is to sounds arriving at different angles around the microphone. So basically, how much does it pick up around or in front of the microphone? The tighter the polar pattern, the less it will pick up around the microphone and the more it will pick up in front of the microphone. So obviously, you want to make sure that you're speaking into the correct side of the microphone, and yes, this does happen a lot more than you think it does. And that's perfectly fine, because why would you know there's only one side of the microphone to speak into if no one's ever trained you or told you so? But with large diaphragm condenser microphones like this Aston Origin, it is a side address microphone, meaning I'm going to speak into the side of it right here like you see. I'm not going to speak into the top of the microphone down here because that's not where the audio is picked up. Whereas with a shotgun microphone or with a dynamic microphone like the Shure SM7B, I would speak into the end of that microphone. I would speak right here into the microphone. I wouldn't speak into the side of the microphone like I do with this condenser microphone. So with both shotgun and dynamic microphones like the Shure SM7B or the Sennheiser 416, they are top address microphones, meaning I would speak into the top of them. And then with a large diaphragm condenser microphone like the Aston Origin, I'm going to speak into the side of the microphone. So the most common polar patterns you're going to find are cardioid, supercardioid, hypercardioid, and lobar. So first, let's use the Aston Origin. It has the same pickup pattern as the TLM 103 or the Neumann U87, which are two very expensive and very popular condenser microphones. Its polar pattern is a lot more forgiving than, say, the Sennheiser 416 that has a much tighter polar pattern. We'll get to that in a second. But because this has a really forgiving polar pattern, I can move a little bit to the left or right, and it's still going to pick me up a decent amount. I'm not going to, fall off and have the audio get super muffled as I move around. It might fall off a little bit, and the clarity might go down just a tiny bit, but it's nowhere near like that of a shotgun microphone. Okay, dynamic microphones. Now, just like with this video, I already did a video about mainly the Shure SM7B, but just dynamic microphones in general. But I'm going to be doing an updated video all about the Shure SM7B and dynamic microphones. This is going to include way more information than my first video did, just like this video. So be on the lookout for that video. And so because of that, I'm not going to go into a ton of detail about the Shure SM7B or dynamic microphones right now in this video. The thing about this microphone is it just wasn't made for professional voiceover work. Now, if you're a YouTuber, a content creator of any kind, it's going to be awesome for you if you're a podcaster. So basically, if you're James Hetfield of Metallica, Michael Jackson, or you're Joe Rogan, you're going to love this microphone. But if you're doing professional level voiceover work, it's just not made for it. There's a reason you don't see top studios like Pixar, Disney, Marvel, DreamWorks, just to name a few, using this microphone. Again, I won't go into a ton of detail here because I'm gonna make another video about it, but I'll just leave it at that. Side note, I love this microphone. I absolutely love the way it sounds, and I want to use it for basically everything, but it's just not made for professional voiceover. But something you can immediately notice is listen to how dark and how warm this microphone sounds compared to the Aston Origin and the Sennheiser 416. The Aston and the Sennheiser 416, they sound really, really bright, and this microphone sounds really, really dark. A lot of beginners think if the microphone has a ton of high end, well, then it sounds better than another microphone. But it just depends on what you're recording. Long form narration, videos like the one I'm doing right now, or podcasts, things like that, where you're going to be talking for a long amount of time, a darker or warmer sounding microphone is the better choice if you don't plan on going and processing your audio to make it sound a certain way. But even with the Sennheiser 416 or the Aston Origin, I can go in with equalization, which is something I teach in class, and I can make the audio sound darker so that it's easier for the listener's ears over a long period of time. But even though this microphone wasn't designed for professional level voiceover, it also does an amazing job at rejecting surrounding noises. So if you do live in a noisy place and you are a content creator, this microphone is awesome. Okay, now on to shotgun microphones. Now, technically, the polar pattern of the Sennheiser 416 is low bar, but when you look at sites like B&H, it just says supercardioid or hypercardioid, but if you look that up on Google, it's just an extension of low bar. So anyway, hypercardioid or low bar is the tightest pickup pattern of all. And so if you look at a shotgun microphone, you will see the grills on the side of the microphone, and that is what allows the microphone to reject sounds from coming into the side of the microphone. So that's kind of the secret weapon for voice actors using a shotgun microphone, is if they do happen to live in a little bit more of a noisy location, shotgun microphones reject audio that come into the side of the microphone, unlike this Aston Origin that has a cardioid polar pattern. It picks up a lot of sound around the microphone, whereas a shotgun is going to reject most of the sound coming around that microphone. It's going to pick up things in the front and a little bit in the back of a shotgun microphone. So while that is a good thing in a lot of cases, it's also a little bit tricky for some voice actors, especially in the beginning, because if you do happen to move a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right, that shotgun microphone is going to start to try and reject you. And so you have to be very, very conscious about where you're standing when you start recording and try to stay as still as you possibly can. And so the other thing is a shotgun microphone versus, say, a large diaphragm condenser microphone is going to make the room that you're in sound tighter. Well, what the heck do I mean by make the room sound tighter? Bear with me, we're gonna get to that when we talk about what space you're recording in. Okay, now on to the EQ curve or response of your microphone. Okay, so all you need to know here is every single microphone has its own EQ curve or response, which will either make that microphone sound really bright or even harsh, and then there are certain microphones that will sound darker or more warm because of their EQ response. So one thing that can help you here decide which type of microphone would be best for you is, do you have a sibilance issue? So sibilance is just the whistle of an S. So it basically has to do with how you place your tongue behind your teeth. And does that cause a harsh whistling S sound? So in order for me to demonstrate this, I'm gonna make myself sound like a character from a TV show that you guys all probably know. So if I were to make myself sound like this character, I would sound like this when I speak, and that causes sibilance. So I wouldn't want to use a bright microphone if I do have a sibilance issue, because it would just enhance that sibilance and it would make it sound really harsh, and it would not be pleasant for the listener's ears. Now, I do know that that was pretty exaggerated, but it doesn't happen a whole lot, but I do promise you there are people out there with really, really bad sibilance, and when you have to edit their audio, it's a nightmare. A nightmare. The good news is, if that's you, you can actually go and get sibilance trained out. So if you are a professional, get your sibilance trained out. For all the audio engineers out there, please do this. So if you do have a sibilance issue, I would not recommend going with a microphone like a Sennheiser 416 or a Rode NT1A or the Lewitt LCT 440 Pure. Those microphones are bright sounding microphones and I would stay away from those if you have a sibilance issue. I would look into microphones more like the Rode NT1, the Synco D2, and the Rode NTG4. Those microphones are darker or warmer sounding microphones and they won't just enhance your sibilance. All right, so a little bonus tip, headphones can actually fool you into thinking you have sibilance when you actually don't. So if you're one of those people that use the Sony MDR 7506 headphones, I'm talking to you. Those headphones are incredibly bright, and just like with microphones, headphones have their own EQ response or curve. And the Sony headphones, they're really, really bright sounding headphones. I once was speaking with a voice actor who has been doing this for years and years and years, and they thought they had a sibilance issue, and I said, you don't really have a sibilance issue, it's just your headphones. And they were like, wait, really? And I was like, yes. So just goes to show you, don't be fooled by your headphones. This is also something that we go into great detail in my courses. We talk at great lengths about headphones and why you would want to choose certain headphones over others. And then the other great thing about my classes is I show you how to get rid of your sibilance with equalization. Yes, you can use a de-esser, but if you're just beginning, a de-esser can really ruin your audio very quickly if you don't know what you're doing. In a lot of cases, it can actually make you sound like you have a lisp. But if you're using equalization to get rid of your sibilance, you can get so much more fine-tuned and accurate, and that's one of the things that I cover in my class. So if you do have a sibilance issue and you have bought a Sennheiser 416 or some other bright sounding microphone, don't worry, you don't have to go buy a new microphone. I can just show you in my class how to get rid of your sibilance. Okay, and finally, what are you recording? Are you recording professional voiceover, but just as a hobby? Are you recording a podcast or YouTube videos or streaming videos or something like that? All of these things can dramatically impact what microphone you choose for you specifically and for your voice and your situation. I'm actually thinking about doing completely separate videos about the best microphone for YouTubers and content creators and then the best microphones for podcasting. Let me know in the comments below if you would be interested in me doing a video about this, and if so, give me some suggestions. Okay, finally, the most important question. What space are you recording in? Okay, you're gonna hear me say this a billion times, but 70 to 80% of having professional sounding audio isn't the microphone. It's actually how you acoustically treat the space that you're recording in. So the microphone can definitely impact the quality of your recording and your voice, but how you treat the space that you're recording in is what's going to make you have the most professional sounding audio possible. In my courses, we have one entire week dedicated to how to properly acoustically treat and soundproof your space to make it sound the best that it possibly can for you individually. Everyone's space is different, everyone's voice is different, everyone's microphone is going to be different, and because of all these factors, your space needs to be catered to for you specifically. This is something I cover in great detail. Links in the description. I also have an on-demand course that's all about acoustically treating and soundproofing your space that you can find over at my website, audiodoctor.tech. Okay, so what's your space? Where did you decide to record your audio? Are you in a closet? Are you in a PVC booth? Are you in an open room? Or are you in a professional booth? So I had a student send me some audio. They had two microphones, the Sennheiser 416 and the TLM103, which is a lot like this Aston Origin, just more expensive. So when they sent me the audio, they didn't tell me which take was which, as in they didn't tell me which microphone was which as far as take 1 and take 2. But I immediately knew which was which, because if you listen to the Sennheiser 416, all of a sudden you can't hear the room nearly as much. It tightens up the room. You can't hear the hard surface reflections as much as you can if you were to switch over to the Aston Origin, which is a lot like the TLM103. All of a sudden you can hear a lot of hard surface reflection. You can hear the room way more than you can when you switch back to the Sennheiser 416. And that is a dead giveaway. And that's why a lot of voice actors would like to use a shotgun microphone like the Sennheiser 416 instead of using, say, a TLM103, a Neumann U87, which those mics were not designed for small spaces anyway, but you're gonna get more of the room due to their pickup pattern or their polar pattern because it picks up way more around the microphone, whereas the Sennheiser 416 is rejecting audio from coming into the side of the microphone, so it kind of makes it a secret weapon in a lot of cases for voice actors. And this is Ripperoo. Okay.
Yeah, that's it, yeah!
Okay, I know that was a lot of information, and I'm also eventually going to make a video all about my top microphone recommendations for voiceover and for YouTube and for podcasting and things like that. But until I do finally get around to making those videos, if you want to see what equipment I recommend, just go to my Pt.2 page. You'll find all of my recommended microphones, headphones, speakers, and whatever else you can think of. I have descriptions listed for each individual piece of equipment showing why I recommend it. So if you'd like to see that, link in the description, or you can just go to audiodoctor.tech and find it there. Please feel free to leave me some comments about topics you would like to see me cover, and if you found this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was super helpful, and if it was, and if you did like it, please consider sharing this with your friends and maybe even subscribing to my channel. I'll be doing everything I can to be releasing consistent videos for you guys to hopefully help you with all of your audio problems. And until next time, remember, you know what they say. Are you a voice actor? You want to learn Adobe Audition or Audacity? You can sign up for one of my live classes taught 100% virtually over Zoom, which means you can join from the comfort of your own home no matter where you are. And I record each class, and at the end of the night, I send you the recording of class so you can retake this course as many times as you want for the rest of your life. Or if you want to go through the course at your own pace, you can sign up for my on-demand version that you can find over at my website. Link in the description. The good news is, even though the classes cover DAWs like Adobe Audition or Audacity, they are so much more than DAW classes. I don't just cover everything you see on the screen right now. I also have one entire week dedicated to the most important part in making sure you have professional sounding audio. How to acoustically treat and soundproof the space that you're recording in, your home studio. Not only that, but I evaluate your audio and your home studio individually throughout all the weeks in class to make sure your home studio and your audio is just as competitive as the top bookers in the industry. So, if you're interested, you can find links in the description, and if you're not, well, you know what they say.